Welcome back to another exciting episode. This is WrestleMania 5, the recreated, redone WrestleMania series. Let's begin. Before we begin, a few facts. The event took place on April 2nd, 1989 in Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, dubbed When the Mega Powers Explode. 38 wrestlers participated at this event. And of course, a few rules. I'm only reviewing matches that made television. We're going to judge it based on the accuracy of the attire. We're not including managers, valets, non-wrestlers, as well as customized figures. They must have been retail mass released or had a website that released them. Customized figure will be appreciated on the end of this video, but when you look at customized figures, you're thinking of somebody who basically paid somebody to, or they did it themselves, created their own version of that figure, not produced 4,000 or 2,000 or 100 of that figure. We're going to kick it off with the first match of WrestleMania 5, Hercules versus King Haku. And while we can recreate it, it's not accurate. That's the only Hercules that exists, and it's LJN. However, our second match, though, we can recreate. We got the Rockers. Now, if we look at the Rockers, there's a little more colorful colors on their actual match attire compared to what we did get. Again, though, you have to understand how deco works. Sometimes, if they have lots and lots of different colors, it just doesn't it's not cost effective or practical to throw that much stuff in there. But essentially, you have yellow tights with the the white zebra stripe boots. Yeah, there's some frilly stuff in there that they didn't put in there, but that's pretty accurate to me. Akeem and Big Boss Man, of course, never really changed their look. Well, Boss Man did during the Attitude Era, but not before. What's interesting, though, is Akeem is a very expensive figure to find. If you can find a picture of, this is only a mocked picture, but if I used to own one back in the day, I think I sold him for $80. Now he's loose. He goes from anywhere from $120 to $150. Boss Man's gonna probably be a little cheaper because they are making a Elite 90 or 91 version of him. I think also he's the Chase variant, so that'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Of course, they're gonna have double jointed arms, so they're updating their figures a little bit. On to the third match, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase versus Bruce Barber Beefcake, and while we can recreate it, it's not accurate. There is no gold attire Brutus Barber Beefcake. Ted, of course, didn't change his look except for, I think, SummerSlam he wore white. So you've got pretty much a Ted DiBiase. If you have any type of Ted DiBiase, you have his almost whole look through WrestleMania as far as wrestling attires. What's nice about the Jax version, it comes with the $1 million title and even some fake money. So then on to the fourth match, and unfortunately it's the first match that goes into the void. The Bushwackers of Luke and Butch, which we do get Mattel versions and Jax specific versions of. But Jax has only ever tackled the Mountie. Mattel won't tackle the Mountie. Apparently, it was a big controversy when they did bring even this figure out, as the Canadian Mountie police aren't too keen on being portrayed in a heel gimmick. It's funny, you can have Big Boss Man play a heel and nobody cares, but over in Canada they take themselves very serious about that type of stuff. So until we do get a proper Fearless Rougeos, though, this match will never be accurate. Then on to the fifth match of Mr. Perfect versus Kurt Hennig versus the Blue Blazer. Of course, Blue Blazer was Owen Hart under the mask. The only figure of Blue Blazer we ever got was a bone-crushing action. Jack Civic, of course, made. But, and then unfortunately his timely death changed everything. And you can see this is a dark blue attire with more colors added to it. This is his precursor to that look. And of course, Mr. Perfect doesn't have any wrestling figure green attires. They have a statue, the Fury Unmatched, but that is literally just a statue figure. So that's the only thing I could find that was close enough. So if it was posability, of course, this thing towers over that Jack Pacific. Then on to the sixth match of the tag team titles: Demolition, Axe, and Smash versus the Powers of Pain of Warlord and Barbarian and Mr. Fuji. Now, Jack Pacific, you can recreate this match. You've got Axe and Smash and Demolition. Of course, their physiques aren't portrayed as big, bulky guys like they would have the Crush figure look. They're more of a Rautusk-looking buffness compared to the Barbarian and Warlord, who just have this more upper-built chest look. You could also switch in Warlord for the Mattel version, but he's from his singles run. No Fuji's been made by Mattel. LGN did make a Mr. Fuji, but it's only manager attire. So if you wanted to recreate this match, this is your pretty much best bet. Now, of course, probably you're going to say, well, the face paint doesn't look like it matches for Axe and Smash. And again, I'm counting most of the attire, and that is still their attire. Face paint aside, it rubs off during matches anyway. Then on to the seventh match of Dino Barber versus Rugged Ronnie Garvin. Another match that goes to the void, unfortunately, here. While we did get a Dino Bravo on the way, nobody has reached out to, if he's even alive anymore, Rugged Ronnie Garvin, which I do believe he is. I haven't heard anything. I know that OSW was big on him in early episodes and never mentioned his passing or like that. So he's out there somewhere. I think he's a former NWA World Champion. So it'd be nice to have a figure of him for me, the NWA display shelf. He wrestled Flair and beat Flair, lost back to Flair later on, but it'd be cool to have somebody like that. We need more golden era, late 80s wrestlers. Then on to the eighth match, the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard versus Strikeforce. And again, they made Strikeforce. They just made them with their pre-match attire. So they also do with the Brainbusters too. I mean, if you look at the attires, they're matched perfectly. They do come out with jackets on. I think they had their names, or maybe just said the Brainbusters. I never got that pack because I didn't collect figures that weren't in wrestling attire. I mean, that weren't in actual wrestling garb. I mean, they're in the wrestling garb here, but they got their jackets molded on. They didn't wrestle with their jackets on. So I had no reason to do that. Plus, by the time this 3-pack came out, they'd already had 2 individual run figures, and I just snagged those up. I think Tully even came with a nice robe. Mattel has a version of all of these guys, but they would not match at all. Arn and Tully do match, but not in this attire. Tito does match from this look, but Rick Martel only has the model in a purple attire, and it's getting very costly. I think it cost me $70 for a loose one that I had to then give a figure bath to. For those who don't know, means you kind of clean it up and do the best you can to get the scuff marks off. So I can only imagine what a mock one goes for nowadays. Then on to the 9th match, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Andre the Giant. Now, I included this Andre picture because if you look at the 3-pack, which is based on this match, it's not accurate. Andre only had a single over-shoulder singlet. And it looks like here Jax just kind of was like, well, we want to build this pack, but we don't want to retool Andre. So let's just throw in R3 Tech. This is R3 Tech style. This is also literally just a Big Show body with the Andre head over the top of it. Not knocking Mattel, or not Mattel, but Jack Pacific. Times where, Deco, you wanted to do something, but the Deco wasn't going to allow it, and you had a lot of old parts that weren't being used. R3 Tech bombed big time as far as, it had a couple cool wrestlers in it. It was a cool idea, but it didn't live up because for whatever reason the arched back on a lot of the figures just looked really weird. I understand they were trying to make their poses and whatnot, and that's cool and all, but the problem is then when you get into the ring, you've got Stone Cold with bow legs versus Booker T with bow legs with no proper knee pads that fit or look right, and then the figure just looks weird. They looked very awkward. Eventually I will pull a picture of one of them up and put it on here in case you've never seen one. But for you to recreate this match, you need an Andre with a single over-the-shoulder singlet strap. And the 10th match, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart versus Rhythm and Blues, Greg Darren Valentine and Honky Tonk Man. Again, I've covered, I think, a few times. Honky Tonk has the attire. I do believe this is the Mattel Elite that comes in the blue attire. And then, of course, Greg the Hammer Valentine just came out, Legend Series 7. That's the look right there, even with the little hammer jammer thing that he would have. That'd keep him from getting like figure 4s he could use as a weapon. And then, from what I could find, as far as Jakks Pacific has the Bret Hart and the Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Now, of course, scratch the tag belts out of there because it was not a tag title match, but you can recreate that match. Then on to the 11th match of WrestleMania 5, Ultimate Warrior versus Ravishing Rick Rude. The IC title was on the line. You can kind of recreate the Warrior, except for the boots aren't accurate, and Rick Rude has way more colorful attire, a little bit more of an offset pink attire, so it's not accurate. It's close, but not quite. Then on to the 12th match, Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Bad News Brown, and there it is. I mean, you got Mattel has tackled Hacksaw, I think, twice or 3 times now. They always knock it out of the park with him. They don't have the rights to Bad News. Bad News is only with Jakks Pacific, so you have to get his figure. And of course, it's because it's his only ever figure ever made. It's going to be kind of costly. Then you got Red Rooster versus Bobby the Brain Heenan. And Mattel knocked this out of the park. You literally got Bobby the Brain Heenan, and you got the Red Rooster. Of course, Red Rooster was a store exclusive and then kind of ended up in limbo for a while. You can find him occasionally here and there. He could run you anywhere from $30 to $50. Bobby shelf formed when the Legend Series came back. He's kind of faded away a little bit. People have used the Weasel suit or taken his head off and made it to Simon Gotch or something like that. Or just done different things with him. Then the main event. And you can recreate this match. It's Macho Man Randy Savage from the WrestleMania Heritage Series, which is, you look at the attire, that's based from WrestleMania 5. And Hogan, that could be based on WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, 4. Take your pick. It doesn't really matter in that situation. Point is, I used the basic because Macho was basic. I've used the Hogan basic. You could, use Hogan Elite if you wanted to, but I like to keep the styles the same if I can. Sometimes it's not possible. Let's see how well we did, shall we? You could not recreate this WrestleMania. This entire card, as you're missing 2 wrestlers. Raymond Rougeau pops up again, and this time Rugged Ronnie Garvin. So a new name added to that list. So because of that, 2 matches did go into the void. But we're getting closer. 85% we could recreate. And Jakks took the top spot this time. You'll see 31 figures have been created by them to recreate this WrestleMania. Then second with 29 figures, so close as Mattel is 76%. And you look here, LJN's starting to drop down, only 15 figures at 39%. It won't be long, I don't think, until we don't see LJN's name on there anymore. As far as accuracy, 50%, halfway there. Will we find a 100% one before WrestleMania 10? We'll have to keep checking back to see. But before we do that, it's time for custom figure appreciation. Now, I acquired this Hardcore Holly Elite Style. I don't know who it was made by, off of eBay for about $55, and they didn't customize the head. It's literally just a Jakks Pacific Hardcore Holly head, probably dermal down to make it look to fit better because sometimes those heads are massive. But this one worked really well. The pictures don't do the justice. The painting on the attire is so clean and so precise. Usually I see smudges. Usually I can tell it's like a paint pen. This person took their time. They used, I don't know if they like covered up the figure and then used just a light paint touch. I don't know how they did it, but it's very smooth. And the knee pads, are just standard Mattel knee pads. The boots, clean, nice white. I mean, this is a late edition Ruthless Aggression era Hardcore Holly, who I'm amazed we still don't have a figure of. I mean, he was around for many years. I liked his ECW run, even though he didn't win the title. This is more of his even later than that, when he was teamed up with Cody Rhodes in the tag team division. And then, of course, he was gone. And then we didn't see him again, and he's only sporadically been making appearances. But for $55, I mean, money well spent. It's playable, it's posable. I decided to start collecting only figures of people that I enjoy or not enjoy working with, but I enjoy playing with as a kid, or even enjoy still to this day. They're as quote somebody they feel good in the hand, so to speak. And usually elites, I get them. They're wobbly. There's something, especially customized. I'm like, this doesn't really fit well. He's gonna fit in perfectly in whatever pick fed you want to use. So I've seen a few out there. There are people who make hardcores, obviously a different attire. I loved this attire. That's what made me get this one. I saw the one like purple. I've seen the one from back when him and Crash Holly, which is cool again. But if I see a Crash Holly, if it's in his black trunks with the blue around him that says Crash, I might snag that. These are a little bit more expensive. This is not your average everyday figure. But the point was, I wanted to appreciate this figure. If you see it out there, you see a hardcore Holly, or see something you do like that's customized, weigh the options. I mean, if you really want that figure and it's likely not going to ever make it see light of day, I'd consider getting it. And with that, I want to thank you for watching. Please leave a comment. Thanks again. Comments are always welcomed. Make sure to ring that bell. Hit that bell. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check back for WrestleMania 6, the redone edition, coming very soon.